All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer, breaking down the explosive start to the 2026 MotoGP season. We are heading straight to the Chang International Circuit in Buriram, Thailand for an absolute chronological thriller of a Saturday sprint race. We're going to look at the machines, those unbelievable overtakes, and of course, the controversial penalties that turn this 13-lap dash into an instant classic.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going from setting the grid, right through the green light and early chaos, hitting the climax of Acosta versus Marquez, checking out the checkered flag, and wrapping up with the aftermath in the standings.
So part 1, setting the grid, the battle for pole position in Buriram.
You really can't talk about a race without looking at how the grid shook out first, right? And just look at the mechanical diversity at the top here. You've got Marco Bezzecchi on the Aprilia RSGP somehow edging out Marc Marquez on that factory Ducati GP26 by literal fractions of a second, just 0.035 seconds. Then Raul Fernandez slots into third, making it 2 Aprilias on the front row. And don't sleep on Ai Ogura. The Japanese star grabbed a very solid 8th on its Trackhouse Aprilia.
And what makes Bezzecchi's pole so crazy is that he literally hit the deck twice getting there. I mean, going down at turn 3 in FP2 and then binning it again at the final corner during his last Q2 time attack, to bounce back from that and throw down a 128.652 is just next-level resilience. Moving to Section 2, the green light and early chaos, disasters and opportunities at the start.
Because as we know, a hot qualifying lap doesn't guarantee you survive turn 1. The lights go out for this 13-lap sprint, the pack roars off the line, and it's just the usual frantic jockeying for position. But then, lap 2 hits, and absolute heartbreak. Pole sitter Bezzecchi dramatically crashes out. That changes the entire complexion of the race instantly. Now, veteran Marc Marquez inherits the lead on his Ducati, but he's got company. Pedro Acosta's KTM is right there, starting the hunt.
Section 3. The climax. Acosta versus Marquez. A fierce penultimate lap showdown.
This was just a beautiful clash of generations and machinery, wasn't it? On one side, you've got the hungry rookie Pedro Acosta absolutely wringing the neck of that Red Bull KTM RC16, desperate for his maiden sprint victory. And on the other, the ultimate seasoned vet Marc Marquez defending the lead on his Ducati GP26, perfectly placing his bike on every single apex and corner exit to slam the door shut. And the tension just builds and builds until it finally explodes on the penultimate lap. Here's exactly how it went down. Step 1, Marquez finally makes a tiny mistake, loses the rear, and slides a bit wide at turn 5. Step 2, Acosta instantly pounces on the gap and makes the pass at turn 6. But this is Marquez, right? So step 3, he responds aggressively with a hard lunge at the final corner, making light contact and literally forcing Acosta off the track. Which leads to step 4. Race direction steps in, puts it under review, and smacks Marquez with a drop 1 position penalty.
Which brings us to Section 4, the checkered flag, crossing the line in Thailand.
With Marquez forced to serve that penalty on the final lap, the drag race to the line was insane. Look at that number, 0.108 seconds. That is the razor-thin margin separating Acosta's KTM and Marquez's Ducati at the finish line. It just perfectly illustrates how fiercely this thing was fought down to the literal millimeter.
So here is the final sprint rundown. Pedro Acosta actually does it. He clinches his first ever MotoGP sprint win, putting the KTM RC16 on the top step. Marquez takes second after the penalty. Raul Fernandez rode a super smart race to snag third for Aprilia. And man, we have to talk about Ai Ogura in fourth, starting from 8th, fighting his way up on the Trackhouse Aprilia to hold off Jorge Martin. Just brilliant riding.
But check out this quote from Ogura post-race. "I'm disappointed in myself. I couldn't put a perfect lap together." You just got a top 4 finish in the premier class against the best in the world, and you're disappointed? It really just tells you everything you need to know about his competitive fire and self-expectation.
Finally, Section 5, the aftermath, standings, setting the stakes for the 2026 season.
Because this was the very first event of the year, these sprint results are also our first World Championship standings. So Pedro Acosta is officially sitting pretty at the top of the leaderboard. Huge early momentum for Red Bull KTM against the Ducatis. Marquez slots into second, and Trackhouse Racing is making serious noise right out of the gate, with Fernandez and Ogura in third and fourth.
So as we wrap up this explainer, you really gotta wonder, with KTM drawing first blood, and this Ducati versus Aprilia rivalry getting so heated, who is gonna adapt the fastest to the pressure of the main Sunday race?
Can Acosta actually hold off a furious Marquez looking for payback? Or will Algura take that qualifying frustration and channel it into a podium finish? Keep a close eye on those storylines. Thanks so much for hanging out with me to break this all down, and I'll see you next time.